I was 94 years old the morning I fell, and it took less than 2 seconds to lose the life I had protected for over 20 years. It wasn't dramatic. No loud noise, no warning. Just a quiet step I had taken thousands of times before. Back door open, cold air hitting my face, coffee still warm in my hand. The kind of morning that feels so normal you don't even think about it. And then my foot hit something I didn't see. That's the part that still bothers me. I was looking right at the steps. I just wasn't really seeing them. Next thing I knew, I was on the ground, hard. The kind of fall where your body doesn't ask permission, it just gives up on you for a moment. I tried to sit up and realized I couldn't. That's when it got quiet in a way I'd never felt before. No one around, no footsteps, no voice calling my name. Just me, the cold concrete, and a very clear thought I didn't want to admit. This is bad. My phone was still inside, sitting on the kitchen counter like it always did. About 10 feet away. Might as well have been a mile. I remember looking up at the porch, thinking how ridiculous it was. Same steps, same routine, same everything. Except it wasn't the same. And here's the truth I didn't understand until I was lying there staring at that door I had walked through every single morning. It wasn't the fall that changed my life. It was everything I ignored before I ever stepped outside. They told me to stay still, but my body had already made that decision for me. I could feel the cold through my clothes, but I couldn't move the way I wanted to. Every time I tried to shift, something deep in my hip reminded me that this wasn't something I could just shake off and laugh about later. I've had falls before, everyone has, but this one felt different the second I hit the ground. By the time they got me to the hospital, I was already tired in a way that didn't make sense. Not sleepy, just done. The doctor looked at my chart, looked at me and said, "You're lucky." I remember thinking, if this is lucky, I'd hate to see the alternative. I couldn't sit up on my own. I couldn't get out of bed without help. Simple things, things I hadn't thought about in decades, suddenly required another person standing right there, watching, waiting, helping. Then came rehab. 6 weeks of long hallways, scheduled meals, and exercises that felt like they were designed to remind you of everything you used to do without thinking. You walk past people who don't remember why they're there, and you start asking yourself questions you never wanted to ask. How did I end up here? When I finally got home, it didn't feel like my home anymore. There were bars on the walls, a chair in the shower, lights that turned on before I even touched a switch. My son had moved in quietly, like it was the most normal thing in the world. Nobody asked me. They just did what needed to be done. And that's when it really started to sink in. I kept thinking about the woman I used to be, the one nobody had to worry about. I worked 38 years at the Franklin County Records Office. Never missed a day I didn't absolutely have to. After my husband passed, I ran that house by myself for over 20 years. Bills paid, yard, maintained groceries, done appointments kept. I drove myself everywhere until I was 92. Not at night, I wasn't reckless, but I got where I needed to go. People didn't check on me. I was the one checking on them. That's probably why I didn't notice what was changing. Or maybe I noticed and just didn't like what it meant. About 6 months before that morning, I started using the kitchen counter to push myself up. Not every time, just when I felt like it. I'd grab the edge stand and keep moving like nothing happened. On the stairs, I'd pause halfway up just for a second. If anyone was around, I'd pretend I was thinking about something. Truth is, I was catching my breath. I told myself it was just easier that way. Looking back, easier was my body trying to tell me something I didn't want to hear. Then there was my vision. I hadn't updated my glasses in over a year. Things were fine straight ahead, but anything below my line of sight got a little fuzzy. I stopped driving at night because headlights bothered me more than they used to. Again, I told myself I was being careful. That morning, I was looking right at those steps. I just wasn't seeing them clearly. And that difference between seeing and actually seeing turned out to matter more than I ever thought it would. I can still see that box sitting in the corner of the garage. My grandson bought a railing and a motion sensor light about 2 months before I fell. He had it in his truck, ready to install it that same afternoon. I told him no. Said I'd been using those steps for years and didn't need anything extra. What I didn't say was that I didn't want my house to look like I needed help. That box is still there, never opened. That was the third sign. The fourth one was quieter. It didn't come with a suggestion or a conversation. It came from doing the same thing every morning for so long that I stopped thinking about it. Coffee, back door, steps, bird feeder. I could have done it in my sleep, and in a way I was. I wasn't checking the ground. I wasn't noticing the temperature. I wasn't paying attention anymore. Routine feels safe right up until it makes you careless. But the one that really stays with me is the fifth. About 2 weeks before I fell, I slipped in the bathroom. Not all the way down, but close enough. My hand shot out and grabbed the sink, and I just stood there holding on, waiting for my legs to catch up with the rest of me. It took a few seconds, long enough to know something wasn't right, and I didn't tell anyone, not my son, not my doctor, not even a friend, because saying it out loud would have made it real. Lying out there on that concrete, unable to move, I finally understood what that silence had cost me. I hold the railing now with both hands. Every morning, same door, same steps, same birds waiting, like nothing ever changed. The difference is me. I slow down. I look where I'm putting my foot. I check the ground before I trust it. It takes longer, sure, but I'm still the one doing it. That matters. What I've learned isn't complicated. It's just uncomfortable. Strength isn't pretending everything is fine. Strength is paying attention before something forces you to. If you've started holding on to furniture to stand up, that's not a habit, it's information. If your vision isn't as sharp as it used to be, don't guess your way through it. And if there's a moment, even a small one, where you feel unsteady, say it out loud. Tell someone, not because you're weak, but because you're smart enough to stay ahead of it. I thought being independent meant handling everything alone. Turns out real independence is knowing when not to. Fix the step. Install the light. Get your eyes checked. Make the call you've been putting off. You don't get a warning that feels urgent. You get small ones that feel easy to ignore. And if stories like this, stories about life advice, stories about advice from grandparents, stories about life lessons mean something to you, take a second to subscribe. Not for me, for you. So the next time something small shows up in your life, you don't brush it off the way I did. Because the fall isn't what changes everything. It's what you decided to ignore before it happened.